All right, hey guys, Ronin Man here. A very special episode today. We have John from Japan. John is a pseudonym, but John is somebody that I've known for a long time, and he has gotten into the porn business in Japan and has a lot of experiences that might be interesting for MGTOWs. And John and I met a long time ago, and I'm going to let him tell the story. So, hey, John, welcome, John.
Hey, how's it going there? You're in Thailand, and I'm here. And it's been a while, eh?
Yeah, you know, it's sad because you got to come visit, man. You got to come visit.
Yeah.
Now I'm a pro here, you know, I'll take you around.
I know. Yeah. Sounds good. I have to make some more money so I can keep moving on.
Yeah, just come on over, man. Dude, we'll take care of you here. You will have a great time. Trust me on that. So, yeah, so tell me about, how would you introduce yourself to the guys? You know, we got guys here. It's guys going their own way. It's very similar. It's what we were doing back in 1990, but there was no such thing called MGTOW. And I want to talk about all that stuff we were doing way before this thing went public. And tell me about your history and how you got into the porn business or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, briefly, I came over here like in before I met you was in '87, so 1987, and I was just a kid, you know, and was treated really well, and I thought Japan was all of Asia. You know, everybody was like that. Everybody was living well, and they loved foreigners, and I had a hard time leaving this place for that first trip.
Oh, geez, the economy was great. The girls were great. I mean, like, back then, like, you never had to pay for anything, like you said before. Everything was paid for by the girls, and there was plenty of pussy.
And you could stay at people's houses and, bone the girls, and it was, it was all right,
Right. That was another interesting thing about Japan back then, is, like, they were not squeamish about sex, right?
No, it was all part. It was. I think it was all tied in. You know how they go to the onsens and the sentos and stuff. They don't have that shame that we have. You know, they just take their clothes off and go in. And it's all natural. Yeah.
You know, I heard a great story from a guy who was in Japan before we got there. He was there about 87, maybe a little earlier. But when he got a job teaching English up in the north of Japan, and when he arrived, the mayor took him to the onsen to take a bath, right? And so, if anybody doesn't know, the onsen's a public bath. It's a hot spring, and everybody's nude. And so he went in there, and it was mixed bathing. It was men and women, and he was going to teach high school, and so the mayor decided he was going to introduce him to all the students. So he went around, and all the girls were there naked, and he introduced them to them one by one. And that's how he met his students the very first time.
I believe it.
Isn't that crazy? That was Japan back then.
Yeah, I think over the time, what I've noticed is more and more political correctness, and all the stuff that happens in the West, right?
Right.
It slowly creeps into Japan in a matter of 5-10 years. So, just be aware of that, even before we came, I don't even think they probably had men they didn't separate the onsens,
That's right. I remember they were talking about that. It was like a new thing. Separating men and women was a brand new thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was so crazy. We can go on and on about stories in Japan.
Sure. Okay, so what happened was, I came here and I got the bug, right? You call it yellow fever.
Right.
Somebody nailed it on that one. Remember the yellow cab thing too? I mean, there's just endless lists of stuff that they used to think, right?
Well, that was a bullshit name made up by a woman who was really an early feminist in Japan.
Remember that? They used to ask you, do you think yellow cab? And we'd say, I don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah, it was an interesting thing, because she had lived overseas, and she was Japanese, and she had been tainted by the West, and so she somehow made up this term, that yellow cab, which is a taxi in New York, and there was a joke, or she heard a joke, or something like that. Somebody told her a joke that Japanese women are as easy to get into and out of as yellow cabs. And so this joke that was started by a woman, not by guys. Now, this is the thing, is she wrote a book about this. And everybody thought that this was something that American guys said about Japanese girls. But I can tell you this. I lived in Japan. You lived in Japan. I never, ever, and I had thousands of friends, heard a guy say that word. And I've never used it since because it doesn't make any sense. It's very discreet. It's a very lame word to call a girl that's being nice to you. You know, I never got it. I think it was completely made up controversy, and it was probably the earliest feminist spoiling Japan that I've ever seen. But
it was. I think now thinking back on it, it was just somebody who wasn't getting what they wanted, and they were bitter. You know.
Right. She was. I remember her name too. She had a weird name, Banana Yoshimura. You know. Yeah, that was her name.
Where is she now,
But she never did anything after that. She made that book, and supposedly there was this term that she made up, and I had never heard it, and no one had ever heard it. No Japanese that because back then it was a hot topic. I asked a lot of people. But either way, so that's that. But you know what's good about that is for these guys, the MGTOWs that are listening, is like when feminism can go and destroy a beautiful thing overseas. You know. It's a very real thing because people get ashamed. You know. When they're seen as too sexually open, right?
Yeah, I know where you're going with this, totally. Yeah.
What's your take on that?
My take on it, once there's that, now I'm being watched, you know? Now they're watching me, especially when women watch other women, you know? That's the worst thing, because they're harder on each other, right? It's very competitive, right?
Right.
You know. So that's what that's all about.
Self-consciousness.
You know? They're ruining it for. So that's what happened. Glad that kind of terminology sort of died out. I haven't heard it since for a long time, but I don't know where that came from. But then, I went back to. I'm going to jump here. I went back and forth Japan, right, and then the getting involved in the industry part there.
Yeah.
Was I went to the strip club, right? And this was your advice, right? I remember. You know, just go check it out. You know, a friend said it was a cool place, and I'd never been to a strip club ever in Japan. So.
I think I had been there the night before or something, or somebody had. I think some slutty girl had brought me. Something like that. Some girl. It
was in Kabukicho, and you know, for your listeners, that used to be a pretty. It was I don't know what could be comparable to it. Maybe New York or something. I don't know. London.
It was like maybe I don't know. It's like where all the dirty theaters are. It's where the hotels are. That short-term hotels. It was where the clubs are. It was where a lot of stuff that's kind of like Japan only sexual services kind of area. You know.
Yeah. So, but I never felt like in fear or anything. Right. I went there and then
no, it's very safe. Yeah, no problem.
And I went there and I met this stripper, right? And I thought, hey, it's just a stripper. And then we were hanging out a lot, right? Remember? And I told you, and he said, well, here's the rule: when you go out with her, right, just spend like 15 minutes with her on the first date, and say you gotta go.
Yeah, that was my old thing. I used to always do.
Yeah, and then I watched my clock. And I was out of there by the first drink, you know.
Okay.
And I just did it. I was following your words pretty closely at that time. And then I think you gave me that book, you know, and you had it photocopied.
The Manipulated Man?
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done a book review on The Manipulated Man by Esther Villar, but I will. It was one of my favorite books back then. That one and The Predatory Female, right?
One of those, you gave me, and you know, I probably read like a quarter of it or whatever. But anyway, I was, you know, it was a little bit of a rough period in my life. I was coming out of a divorce, and anyway, I followed your advice, and then the calls were coming my way. I wasn't doing the calls, you know. And then you said that too. Just time yourself, you know, like 3 minutes. You know, I gotta go. You know, so it makes you seem as if you're busy, right? That was the whole drill, right?
Right, and also you don't want to waste a lot of time talking to girls, really, you know?
Yeah.
They either want to fuck you or they don't, right?
Yeah, and so it was just did the tactics, and then it slowly worked into a month. I was with this chick, right?
Right.
And then we went down to Nakano Broadway. It's a famous place, and I didn't even really know. It's where all the animation stuff. And,
oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Nakano Broadway, and it's where all the those dolls and all that stuff that people like now. When people weren't even really into animation back then, but this is where it all was, and there were some porn shops and stuff there. So I'm walking with my chick there, right, that I met, right?
Yeah.
And so we walk into a rental video DVD store thing, and then she points to that. She goes, "Doesn't that girl look like me?"
Oh, okay. So you're looking at a porn movie, yeah?
Yeah, and I go, to the package, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then, no. And I didn't know nothing, right? I was just an average guy, but it was like the devil in sheep's clothing,
Right. That's hilarious. I never heard that story before. So that's how she broke it to you that she's in porn.
Yeah.
I had a girl I screwed that was in porn too. I'll tell you how that happened. But go ahead. So what happened then?
Oh.
So then.
Yeah. I went, oh, okay, well, it kind of let it roll over my head, and then the way it is in Japan is they got a manager. They belong to they have to get a manager. They can't work on their own. They have to be represented by somebody, and then that manager takes like a 50% cut, right?
Sure.
Of everything, whether it's stripping or working in porn or doesn't matter what it is. They take 50%.
Photo shoots. They have these photo shoots in Japan.
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah, it's signing. Fans come and they sign a poster. All that. They do all this stuff, right? So
yeah.
It's like old Hollywood in the 50s. That's the way they run the industry, right?
Japan's
so
old school.
Their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they own their name, and they can't use their name. They can't work for anybody else, or they'll be blacklisted, right?
Right.
So it's a pretty tight shop, right? And a couple weeks go on, we're going out with each other, everything's fine. And then go down. She calls me from Shibuya. Come down here. I'm getting accosted. I'm getting, people are hassling. Remember the touts there down in Shibuya? They used to have these guys try to pull them on the arm.
Well, back then, for the guys that don't know, there was these guys, the Japanese guys that would recruit the girls on the street, and they ended up recruiting girls for porn, for clubs, for whatever. But I tell you something, I never really said publicly, but I used to study those guys because those guys were the best pickup artists. And
this was when Japanese were just crap at it too, right?
Yeah, but they were good. Those guys were good, and I remember
those guys were solid. Only those guys. Though.
Yeah, but I remember when the Western pickup artists came out with Ross Jeffries and The Game and all that stuff came later. But I remember thinking these Japanese guys, they're basically mafia, yakuza guys, low-level mafia guys. They were really fucking good, and I used to study them and talk to them a lot because I learned a shit ton from those guys. That is just very unique knowledge that you don't get in the West. But either way, so she called you. And then what was going on? You went down there, and let's speed it up.
Nothing.
So you went down there.
Just nothing. It was just all smoke and mirrors. It was all bullshit. So I hop on the train like it's white knight. This is looking back at it, right? So I hop on the train, get over there as fast as I can. I'm not sure. Might have got on I had the bike then. Remember, I bought that bike off you. I had the bike.
Yeah, the old that was a fast bike, man.
That NSR, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I got down there, but I got down there. Yeah, might have the bike. Who knows? But and I get down there and there's nothing happening. Right? It's no big deal. Like, they went away. It was all bullshit. It was just to get me down there, right?
Yeah.
So, got down there and I found out she's working in a like a massage place, right?
Okay, like a dirty massage place, yeah.
Yeah, this was tip number 2. This was revelation 2.
But let's move to when you realized it was porn, and then how did you get into it yourself?
Oh, okay. Then a little bit later, we started. I think we started. She told me. I don't know how she told me, but she made sure that she didn't tell me too quick, because I think a lot of people disappear at this point.
Oh, right.
They can't handle it, right? It's you gotta see. My head was a little bit wired, pretty normal back then. I don't know, somewhat normal, and it was heartbreaking when I found out about it. I literally cried. I couldn't grasp it. I was so in love with this chick, right? So
I can't believe you didn't tell me, because I was like gonna warn you against that kind of shit. I was a hard ass back then.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I think I starting to avoid you at this point too.
You did. You did. You fucking did. I remember too.
It's punishment time now.
Oh no!
But that's what guys do, though. This is important for your listeners, right?
Yeah.
This is what guys do. These are patterns you got to watch for.
Right. When you're doing great and you're single, you hang out with your single cool guys that are MGTOW, right? But then as soon as you start getting sucked in
and drifting away and then making up excuses,
right?
Then something's up, right?
You really did drift away. You drifted away for a long time too.
And that was where I was starting to get more and more into it. And there was a couple reasons. Like I moved out of Tokyo, and I moved to
Chiba.
Past. No, I was living in Kanagawa, past Yokohama.
Oh, okay.
Down by Chigasaki there. So living down there, and then we had our own place. And then now the industry people, in the porn industry, her manager and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I started, seeing these people, right?
What kind of people are they?
I think they're worried about their job, so they're very businesslike, very professional.
Do they dress differently, or?
Oh yeah, they dress. No, they it would be like meeting a businessman. You wouldn't be able to tell on the street. You'd think the guy works in an office, and they literally work in an office. I mean, it's a very sophisticated business. It's not sleazy like you think it is,
Right. So you can't spot porn people just by looking at their clothes. Okay.
No. So then this was when the internet was starting to take off too. This is around 2000. Like, I was avoiding you, and then things were getting bigger, and it was about 2000, just turning all right.
Yeah, there was a long, dark period when I really didn't know what the hell you were doing. And I tried to find out, and I wanted to go save you. I wanted to get some guys to go kidnap you and bring you back. Because, that's the way I was. I was serious back then, I was not fucking around. I wanted to kidnap you and then bring you to your senses,
Well, in some ways that might have been good, but the other ways it wouldn't allow for the opportunity to see the porn side, right?
Right.
Because it worked out into something good, right? Like, what happened was, the internet was taking off.
Yeah.
There weren't any. I don't know what that movie was, but I was basically doing what that movie was. When payment systems, they didn't have any payment systems. So I was using PayPal when they didn't even know. They didn't even know where all the. PayPal was wondering where all this money's coming from. And, nobody knew what to do. It was all this quick money, right?
I'll interrupt you real quick. There's a movie, and I can't remember the name of it, but there's a great movie that came out that's about this very period in America. And it's really like, MGTOWs will love this movie. It's a hilarious movie about porn and about the payment systems and the whole thing back then. But you were right in the middle of it. But you were on the Japanese side, which was very unique. Like, I don't know any other, like, I have a lot of friends in Japan, and I don't know anybody else who's a foreigner in the porn industry. I know one other guy who arranges some movies and things like that, and I think I introduced you to him, but he's not really, he kind of exaggerates his role. You actually got in very fucking deep.
I had to figure stuff out quickly. I went from, like, English teacher or whatever or just foreigner to okay, now I'm gonna shut out everybody and study up on this stuff, because I knew nothing about the internet. It was all these payment systems, servers, and I had to start I made the decision, right? I said, why don't you stop this 50% cut? Why don't we do our own thing? I was seeing what was going on in the States, right? People were opening their own websites, and it was a fashionable thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I said, well, let's stop that. And then we started getting offers from New York and different places. And it was getting really big. It was getting some serious traction. And there was no social networks or anything, right? It was still when Yahoo was big, It was insane.
So people contacted you through email?
And it was the groups. You remember the Yahoo groups?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was through those things, right?
Oh, okay. And then you guys moved over to Canada, right?
Probably 2003, yeah.
Okay.
And that was part of the reason was because of the pixelation and the laws here. We were worried about getting busted.
Right. Back then, even in Japan now, if anybody doesn't know, I'm sure you do know, but Japanese porn, you can't see the genitalia of the man or woman, so it's pixeled out. So they wanted to go to Canada, right? You have full nudity, right? So makes sense.
Yeah. So then the business picked up, and I learned more, and lost a lot of money on security and people hacking passwords and bandwidth, and lost to at least a couple grand on that. Really didn't know much. I had people working for me and costumes, and I got into photography. I had a full studio in my basement. It was pretty. I was living pretty large. I was driving like a $50,000 car.
Nice. Yeah. When did you do your first movie? When did you act in your first movie?
Oh, that was here. That was here still, and then I stopped doing that. I started getting into more behind the scenes, Right. So I did most of the shoots, and she broke away from once we left Japan, it was our own thing then, and we started making more money, large.
Right. I don't want to say the name, obviously.
No, it's not important.
John wants to stay anonymous, and you guys, just so you guys know why, because you might wonder why would somebody who's in porn not use their real name. The reason is because, just like MGTOW, a lot of people just can't handle it. They just can't. They freak out. I think you have a ton of experience with that. Yeah,
the Jack Nicholson thing just echoes through my ears,
Jack Nicholson?
You can't handle the truth,
Right.
You know that movie? He's like that. He's that Marine, that old Marine.
I don't remember that, but I can imagine that. Here's what I see. I see everybody watching porn, right? And then when they meet somebody in porn, they think they're a scumbag.
Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh God, yeah. And when I went to that convention, like we went to New York, we went to the convention. This was still when we were in Japan, right? Went to the convention, and it sort of opened my mind, right? And I met all the people in the industry at that. Every year they have that electronic convention in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Right? And they had that porn convention there, and they still have that going on, right? And I went there, and I met these people, and they're actually more civilized than most regular people. You sit down and have dinner with them and stuff. I mean, they're not getting all. It's not what you think it is. The hardest part was the family, like my own direct family.
Right.
Yeah.
No, family has a very, and I'm sure that everybody that's serious MGTOW is you're gonna have people who are gonna be very disappointed in you, because you're learning the truth about life and sexuality and women and whatever it is that you learn on your journey. It's going to be
Yeah.
something very different than society, and you're going to be judged very, very harshly by some people.
Yeah.
What was your worst experience, or you're like the one that hit you the most?
Well, when this is the deal, right? Like, you made that statement where you said, once you get more money, people start to pull you down more, or, guys who make more money have to protect themselves more.
I don't remember exactly what I said, but yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. But anyway, okay, here's where, like, my dad was, when I first went back, my dad was, well, how are you going to survive here? You got to go to this interview. You got to do this, right? I wasn't like telling him what I was doing, right?
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary to tell people, because I think that most people can't handle it, right?
Right.
They just can't handle it. It's either they think you're a scumbag, or you're they just don't know what to think, because it's just brainwashing, right? So I told my dad finally, and he goes, "Oh, well, that's okay for now, but what are you going to do later?" He's not getting moral. He wasn't throwing morals around, right?
Right. He's just thinking that maybe this won't last forever. That makes sense. That's logical.
Yeah, and he didn't need to see stuff, and I need to know, and it's that's the way he rolls, right? So he's cool, but his the woman he's living with, not my direct, not my mother, but the woman he's living with, that raised a few eyebrows, and plus she had a few alterations, right? So her boobs were kind of big and stuff. So it was kind of hard to cover up the fact that who she was, right? So then,
so in case people didn't get that, like, just imagine this little Japanese girl with humongous boobs is walking around a small town in Canada.
Yeah,
with little
like
pink dresses and stuff, and these massive knockers, right? So everybody's like,
ridiculous.
What the fuck is that, right?
Yeah, it's like, and then the worst part too is, like, you go into a shopping mall, and the best look is if the white guy's with another Asian chick.
Yeah.
When the two chicks' eyes meet, it's awesome. Like, dudes are like, hey man, high fives, but it's the two chicks. The hatred is just awesome,
Oh really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice.
It's like, I'll never forget that moment. But okay, the hard moment was going to visit my family, like, for Thanksgiving, or whatever. I just wanted to go over there and see my dad.
Yeah, just have a normal life. Yeah.
It was normal at first, but as people pick away, I would just say stuff matter of factly, when I should have just, oh no, I'm getting this is a setup for later, right?
Oh.
You see, building up ammunition. This is what chicks do. They build up fucking ammunition, right? And you just walk right in. You're just, loose lips sink ships, right?
Yeah.
So I just sabotaged myself, really. I should have just said, well, that's my business, like, you don't need to know. But even then, she started digging around, and she got her daughter to look around on the web internet, and then my, there were things going on. It was summertime, and typical family life, kids are running around and stuff, and then it was like, oh, somebody logged onto your computer. This could never happen. I had a password on it, and they were looking at your website, right? It's just total manufactured bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't tell them anything, like concrete details or nothing, right? So then this became a big deal, right? I'm a pimp. Now I'm a pimp.
Right. Which is I just gotta say it again. I gotta say it, like, it's just so ridiculous, because everybody watches porn. I mean, you can see that from the Pornhub statistics, It's just insane, And then for someone to judge you so harshly when they watch it themselves, it's just so hypocritical. I don't even really know what to say,
It is. It's hypocritical, and I noticed that hypocrisy a lot in smaller dosages in everybody, really.
Right. Well, what do you notice? That's interesting.
That, like, when you're a matter of factly about stuff, they just kind of start to go quiet, and pretend that it's not a big deal when it's pretty shocking, right? To them, they can't handle it, right?
Okay.
How do you feel about that? That's your girlfriend, or that's your blah blah blah. How do you feel about her being with other guys? It's like, how can you? No, I don't own that. I don't have like a lock and key on that. And whether I'm around or not, this was going on before I came in the picture, right?
Right.
That's the way I felt. I was the one that got, seduced.
That's interesting, because that time we were hanging out, we were very hardcore. We used to share our girlfriends with other guys, and it was a practice to not get emotionally attached to them, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, do a threesome and then watch her fucking other guys that you just say, and it was just like we had like social pressure on each other, like, don't be a fucking pussy, don't fall in love.
There was a code.
There was
a code.
Yeah, there was no getting weak. There was no pussified, shit.
Well, that's why I blew you off there for a while there. That's part of the reason. I knew I was kind of going down a different path there, right?
But it wasn't that different. I mean, it was different. It was different because you stayed with only one, but also at the same time, like, you also were a badass in a way, because you were just ignoring the fact that she was out there doing stuff, doing whatever she was doing. You're like, hey, I'm fine, But I'm sure.
Well, I had to break my heart first. That was the first thing.
Yeah.
I had to bust that, like, that kind of like stupid feeling that we get, like we think that this is my girlfriend, or this is my wife, or this is my,
we own it.
Yeah. What are you looking at? Like, when guys do that to me, if I ever get busted for looking at somebody, I'm like, wow, man, that blows my mind. I just can't, like, I'm the first guy to go, yeah, I'm out of here. I don't want to give the satisfaction, like, that kind of jealousy stuff, I burned that one.
Yeah,
I burned that one out.
I think the average guy is so, he's so fucked up. He just can't deal with anything, like, he gets so attached, and it's just like, and then he attacks other guys, and I've noticed that guys that are supposedly in love can be some of the meanest people on earth,
Oh yeah.
They can be real dickheads and they feel justified because they're in fucking love, right? And meanwhile, their girlfriends would easily suck my dick, no problem, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anytime, any place. It's
as soon as he goes to work.
Well, the thing is, the more a guy acts like that, the more he drives her into my or somebody else's arms, right?
Yeah, it's our arena now.
Yeah, because the girls know the guy's weak. They know that he's like being a pussy, right? And they don't like that. They want somebody else, right?
Yeah, he's losing his appeal the more he does that. Actually,
he's losing his edge, right? He's a weak guy.
But if you're like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, what? 10 guys boned you last week? Really? Okay. How was that? Did you make any money out of that, or what? Then the chick's gonna go, holy cow! That's the way I think.
Right.
Like, I've been asked this later on, right? Later down the line, like, I've had sort of this somewhat like this conversation, even from a chick. Don't you get jealous, right? And I say, no. That's the worst thing you could say.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, no, man. I lost that a long time ago.
Well, that's the thing, is like a lot of guys are so inexperienced with life that they can't even imagine something like this, not being jealous, not being possessive. You don't own pussy. I think that's the thing everybody has to know. You can own a car, kind of, but you can't own pussy. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. But even then, as soon as you turn your back, somebody's going to hop in your car.
It can definitely happen. I think the more you improve yourself, and the more, the more you challenge yourself, you won't worry about it, but two, it just doesn't happen as much.
You'll just say, yeah, fuck, you can have it, fuck.
No, I mean, it just doesn't happen because the girls are pretty satisfied.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when they're satisfied, they're not looking for more. They're not looking for something else. Even if they know you have other girlfriends, they're like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
this guy's a good man for me. He makes
Well,
me feel
yeah.
secure.
Well, I think, okay, in fairness, the woman that I was with, it wasn't, there was none of that, right? It was all business.
Right.
There was a hard and fast. This is one thing I learned quick. Once the camera's off, you know, once they're done with the job, there's no like, yeah, that was great, man. That guy's like, you know, was a power fucker. None of this kind of stuff. Not in front of you. And that's out of respect, right?
Right.
But maybe you'll walk into a conversation where they might be with their coworkers,
Uh-huh.
to say the least, and they might be talking some stuff. But if they respect you, they won't go on about, you know, how that was. It was work. It's all about the money, you know.
Right. It's a complicated business, and it's human emotions flying right and left, and you know,
it's turn on and off, right?
Nuclear storms of energy, right? So.
Yeah. But I learned a lot from women that way, you know, like.
What would you say that you learned? What would be your takeaways? Because it's going to be unique, right?
Yeah. I learned it. Number one, yeah, like you said, you don't own it. You know, you barely own your car.
Hmm.
And that, you know, that it can be that men are weak. We're more emotional. Like we fall apart. They just go cold. You know, with you know, it's like when a chick has the baby stroller and she's going across the road, she uses that as a weapon. You know?
Oh, I've definitely seen that. It's funny you say that. Okay.
It's the same thing, man. It's just in a different form. It's the same thing. Like the body's a weapon, you know, and they know its value, you know. How
do they use it as a weapon?
Well, in this business, it's you know, they give you it and then they take it away, or they stop. You know, they get so involved in this business, they get involved with their work that, you know, after they don't have any energy for you, you know, maybe, or you know.
What have you learned about women? If you watch them, like, is there, obviously you had to shed a lot of your ego, you had to shed a lot of jealousy the average guy has, and when you look at the cold, dark, you know, inside a woman's mind, what have you learned? What you know, did you see anything?
It's not what you think it. It's not always what you think it is. I mean, women are very skillful in how they act, how they sound, how they move their body. They fake those shakes even, man. You know, those orgasmic shakes.
Which shakes? You mean like?
You know, like after a good boning, you know, and the woman's having an orgasm, you think, and she's twitching or just quivering, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the women in the industry can do fake that, man.
Right. So even the most subtle distinctions of sex can be faked.
Yeah. The only one that I think they can't fake is that milky pussy thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an awesome
only
feeling.
sign. That was my only sign. It's nothing about the toes or could be maybe the face gets a little bit red, but that's just normal circulation maybe. But the milky pussy thing, to me, that's my line in the sand.
Right. That's something you can't fake, right?
Yeah. And if that's happening, and it's, you know, it's your lady with some dude, you gotta accept that. You gotta go, fuck, man. That dude's doing she's liking it, you know?
Yeah, milky pussy for some guys who haven't experienced it, because I remember the first time that it happened. We're not talking about a wet pussy. We're talking about like when it starts foaming up and white foam starts dripping off your balls. Yeah. It's like this, just like bubbling foam. It just like comes out, like just.
Yeah.
It's not like a clear liquid. It's like it's a foamy yogurt.
Yeah.
And that's when you see that, you know you did a good job.
Yeah. So if it's now this was hard for me to take, was if it was some other dude, right, with the chick that I'm with, and that's happening.
Right.
You got to accept that's not you doing that, right?
Well, you know, it's been proven that when women have sex with somebody besides their man, they have more of that than they do with their man, and it's totally regardless of who the man is.
Yeah.
But it's an evolutionary trait of wanting to, spread get the strong seeds from somebody else and have some more genes in there, and so it's not even like her personal, like you can't put a word on that. You can't call a girl
it's biology, man. It's biology.
Yeah, you can't call a girl a bad name for biology. It's something that her body does, and if we were women, it would happen to us. Like, it's just fucking shit that happens to them, right? It's not planned out, right? So, and also I actually read a women's rape website once. I forgot what the name of it was. It was a big.
Oh fuck! Yeah, you just brought up something there too. Keep going.
Yeah, what the website said, and I can't remember what the domain was, but I'm sure somebody can find it on the internet. Was basically said that if you have an orgasm after being raped or during being raped, like, don't feel guilty. That doesn't mean you enjoyed it. And so whatever that double speak means. This was a website for women by women, and it was it was basically counseling them that if this happened to you, don't worry. You know what I mean? Like, you're not bad. Like, it's like. But the thing is these are kind of things that I think men would like to know about. You know, it's just like biology, but it's like, why cover it up, right? If it's normal, if it's natural, then let guys know, because guys are logical and smart. And if we know these kind of things, we're going to start to draw conclusions that might not be the same as their conclusions, right?
Right. Well,
we might not be as devoted, or we might, choose to do different things with our money and time, right?
Right. Well, I think here's what it is. What I learned from this experience too was men can't handle it, right? All this stuff, all this information at once. It's just too much, And so you get spoon-fed little bits of information, right? Because if you're told all this stuff that we're talking about at once, you're going to go, well, fuck, I don't want nothing to do with that, That's just too much, right?
Right. There's a couple of great books. I don't know if you've read them, but one of them is called The Red Queen.
Okay.
Have you read that?
No.
There's two great books you should definitely read. One, you'll definitely love them with your logical mind. One is called The Red Queen, and the other one is called Sperm Wars. And,
okay. I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, Sperm Wars and Red Queen are both excellent books about this topic, and they really give you an insight into the way it is, regardless of personality. It's just the way it is, evolutionary-wise with women and men. So, yeah. So what? That's interesting. I mean, that's such a rare experience that you had. Being in the porn industry in Japan, and it's a very unique ecosystem. It's not the same as Hollywood. It's a very different kind of thing. Any kind of general comments on the industry in Japan, or things you learned?
That they get paid a salary, right?
These are the girls who work for a big Japanese company, right?
Yeah, they don't get paid per scene like they do back in the States. They get paid per movie. They get a cut from the movie, or they get paid a salary.
Okay.
That's different. Their fans treat them like, stars. They don't treat them like sluts. They give a little respect, right? They shower them with gifts and fucking all kinds of stuff.
Let me interrupt you. One thing but it's something I've wanted to say for years, and I can't stand it, is I can't stand when people call Japanese girls sluts. It's like one of the things that really, it's one of my pet peeve, because I've really found that the sexuality in Japan is very unique, and I think it's very lovely and beautiful, I think it's something that it's like something that, as our world becomes globalized and as things become homogenized, as Canada becomes U.S. and U.S. becomes, Mexico, and everybody becomes the same. Japanese sexuality, which if you're a MGTOW, sexuality is a big thing. It's like you know what I mean. You're not giving all your money away. You're not wasting it. You've got your time for like health. Certain things are important, right? Sexuality in Japan was very, very unique, and like for some dumb fucking guy to go over there and put down all the women for no reason when he doesn't even understand what they're doing or why they're doing it, when actually I found them to be very, very sweet. I mean, I'm okay. At the same time, as I know, that's what my whole channel's about. Is that fucking women will fucking rape you, right? You know what I mean?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, and so I am definitely not. This is not new information for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very clued into what happens in Japan long term. You know, so when you get married in Japan, it's a very, very, very different story than what I'm talking about here.
Oh yeah. That's a whole nother day.
It's another day, and it's a depressing day.
So the deal, I think, is out here. I think whatever you do, if you're in the yakuza or you're a professional businessman or whatever it is you do, take pride in your work. That's the thing. That's why it's so different. There is a pride in what they do, right?
How do you see that in the porn industry?
That is very professional. You got to be on time. Just like every other business. The people behind the scenes are they're very close to. They are professional. I mean, they work in a certain industry. They crank out more movies than anywhere. The studios are studios. It's not cheap. It's a very expensive business that they're running here. They run it like a business more than it's even, you don't even feel like it's porn. It's run like a clock, So, it's not like people smoking dope and doing crap and like that. None of that's accepted,
Right.
It might be done privately or secretly, but it's not on the job. They take it seriously, right?
Did you see different in North America?
Yeah, especially that convention. There was it hadn't come to that level of professionalism. It was still like hiding in. It was like porn shops, comparing porn shops. It's the same, right? Like some sleazy, covered up kind of. This place sells dildos, kind of thing, right? But here, it's still quite open, right? And gradually that's changed too back in North America. But it felt like sleazier when I went over there, Here it was very professional. Nobody touches the chicks, so they don't. It's not like, oh, she's just a whore, so I can do what I want with her, kind of thing. I felt that it was a little more whorish back in the States.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because in the States, with feminism, Japan had no feminism back then. Yeah, there was zero feminism, but the women were treated with more respect.
Totally.
Right, and I remember that, and that's why I treat them with respect. That's why I was saying that about sluts, because it really drives me insane when you have a girl who's being very nice to you and good to you, and then everybody just calls her bad names for no reason, right? Whereas back home they have feminism, and then at the same time you have these women being treated like shit, and it's almost like it's connected or something. I don't know. It's not mature.
Yeah, it is. I think there's a connection because they used to call them AV stars here, right?
Yeah.
Right. AV adult video actresses, right? That was their title, right? And they became on television and mainstream, but still, I think in North America, it's sort of a dirty, they're definitely not like, wow, your ex-girlfriend was a porn star. Like, they're not. But here, they might say that. They go, really? Like, wow, I gotta work up to that level now. That's my standard.
Right. So wow. So it helps to discipline the new girls that you date.
Yeah.
Wow.
If I want it, if I want to lay down that. I don't though.
Right, because if anybody doesn't know, John is married to was married to a very, very famous person. So it's you wouldn't want to put that out there, right? Okay.
Yeah, I don't pull out the big weapons if I don't have to,
Yeah, it's no reason. It's no reason.
But yeah, that does. I know. I've noticed. Whenever I spoke freely, that if a woman was listening, they go, "Really? What did you do?" They're really curious. They're just as more curious than you even.
Right.
So.
Right.
So it's interesting how women really respond versus how women respond in front of men to look all, pure and, moralistic and all that. It's a total bullshit game,
Well, probably because they see you as a seasoned person who is married to a porn star, was in porn, and so they're going to be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
What do you see as the difference? What would a girl tell you once she knows your background and tell her husband or another guy?
Yeah, probably to tick off the husband, she'll say, "Wow, that's cool, right?" But on a one-to-one basis, there's a lot of curiosity. Like, how did you handle that? The first remark is, "Weren't you jealous? Aren't you jealous? How come you weren't jealous?" That's the line of questioning, right?
Oh. What else?
Yeah.
What else?
How did you get into that? Why did you do that? And then the Puritan types would be, that's so wrong. That's how can you do that? That's you're a pimp. So there's really two angles you get with most.
Are you talking about those pimp types were in North America, or they're also in Japan?
Yeah. Not here. I would never get that here. Never in a million years.
Okay, right. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely outside. Yeah, Japan. I'd never get that. No. Even if it was an old lady, she would probably go, "Oh well, at least you were working,"
Oh, okay. Like an old Japanese lady, right? Yeah.
Yeah, at least you worked. Did you save any money? It's just
that's
totally
funny.
different It's just a different attitude, completely.
Right.
Like, oh, really? They're not going to throw any spin on it.
Wow.
No. But I don't talk about it that much anymore. Generally I kind of wouldn't, unless I had to, because I wasn't sure. But I know that here it's a little safer to talk about that. Back in North America, especially now with political correctness and social justice warriors and all that. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to walk onto a college campus and start saying, "Hey, this is my life story," kind of thing.
Right. Well, I really have to say that if anybody is listening who is like that, I would say to honestly look at yourself and say, have I ever seen porn in my life? Have I ever voluntarily watched porn? Because
it's okay if it's two girls, though.
If you have, right. If you have watched it, then it's like it just doesn't make sense to judge. And I don't mean that in like to save you. I mean it's to save her too and to save him, because whenever you have a misjudgment or a miscalculation, or you look at life dishonestly or hypocritically, it's not to your benefit, because eventually you're going to lose somehow. It's going to bite you in the ass, or you're going to not have the pleasure you would have had, or you're going to be you're not going to get
payback.
What's that?
Payback's a bitch.
Yeah. Judging people when you enjoy it yourself. Maybe back in the 1950s, it's possible. But today, I mean, let's face it. If you look at the statistics on Pornhub, which they publish every year, it's really worth reading that. It's quite amazing. They have every country, and it's really shocking. Any like parting wisdom for guys, like men going their own way. You've seen this. You saw me kind of like really. We were really pioneering this. I mean. Really, we were fucking serious too. We were super hard fucking core, And I'm trying to bring a lot of that wisdom to the people. Like, well, what do you see? Like, you were involved in our crowd back then. You've seen everything. You were in the porn industry. You've seen so much. You're an international guy. You were successful in business. What do you have like to give to younger guys to give back? What would you tell guys?
I think just mirror what you said is judgment. Like if somebody is doing something that maybe you don't agree with, say it's a sexual thing, that's his deal, right? But if you're losing your friend and the signs of like that moment where I was disappearing there, right? I don't know how to fix that, but just notice what the signs are, especially guys who get involved with a chick or they start blowing off their friends. That's the first thing that happens, right?
Right. Friends are important is what you're saying.
Yeah, right. And it's been how long now, right?
Right.
So, and then this is another thing about guys. As you get older, how many friends does your dad have, right? Think about it.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So, be careful. Like if you're 30, you meet some really hot stripper or whatever, something special, different, right? It's always got to be better, right, than whatever your friends have got. Then you're different for some reason. No, it's all the same. The game is still the same. The patterns are still the same.
Don't blow off your friends for girls.
Yeah. And or at least be a little more honest and say what's going on.
Right. And don't judge other people for their sexual behavior, right?
Yeah. So like if at that moment I was saying, look, this is what I'm doing, don't because you're worried about getting judged is why you tune out, right?
But didn't you know that I wouldn't judge you? I mean, you must have known that.
No. But this is a total guys thing, right? We're worried about being judged more by our friends or our peers, right? About, you know what I mean? Don't you think so?
I wouldn't have judged you for the business. No, for sure. In fact, I might have been interested in getting in the business back then.
No, I wasn't worried about that. I'm not sure where my headspace was, but I think it was. I was getting really focused on it too, right? Like I just tuned out everything because there's a lot of stuff going on, right? I was traveling to New York and Las Vegas and stuff, but just that being weak. Remember we had that code, like that it was weak to fall in love with a chick, or we used to let each other bone each other's girlfriends and stuff like that. So like I think I was starting to feel like I'm gonna get the shitty end of the stick. He's gonna come down on me, right? So I just tuned everything out, right?
Because I was just worried that you were getting sucked into one girl. That's all.
Yeah. And then finally, when I got back, we started communicating again. But these opportunities don't always happen. This is another thing too. Like if you're going down a path where you're blowing off your friends that you were close to, you can't always regain that, right? You can't always get that back,
right? Right. Friendship is so fucking important, man.
Yeah, and for guys, it's even 100 times more. Women have a big pool, right? Guys, we got 3 or 4 on, that we really can trust,
Right, and also women actively break up male friendships when they get together with men.
Yeah, Yoko Ono and John Lennon.
Oh, it's just so typical. My any of my friends, usually their girlfriends or wives or fiancés or whatever, they kind of force them to move away. So they might have grown up in one city, and then they get them to move away, which is essentially cuts them off totally forever from their whole support system and friendships.
Yeah.
And that's for a guy, for a dude, that's so serious.
Yeah. Like I said, how many friends does your dad have? This is to your listeners too. Really think about it. If your dad's an older dude, how many friends he's got? Really,
Yeah.
Guys he plays poker with don't count. I mean, guys he goes hang out with for a day, going fishing or that kind of thing.
Right. My dad's got 3. I can think of 3. There's probably more.
But no, that's pretty average. I think when they get older, it's pretty average. It's ridiculous how many friends guys have.
Right.
Real friends, like not Facebook friends.
Right. Fuck, speaking of real friends, we went through so much shit together, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh. You remember that time we hitchhiked in the van down at the beach?
Oh, yeah. Down to Izu. Yeah.
Oh, this is a funny story for the guys, It's like, when for anybody listening, right? You probably think you know what is possible in life, right? You probably think like how you can get a girl, or how you could get something going, and how much you'd have to, invest and all that, but it actually can be a lot faster. You want to tell that story?
Yeah. We got down to Izu, right? It was Izu. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then there was that beach that sort of like a hidden kind of beach.
Yeah.
Only locals know.
Yeah.
And then I think we were just, it was like maybe 8 o'clock at night. Still, it was summer, so it was kind of moonlight. Or maybe it was not quite night yet, right? It was getting towards the evening, and we got in the water there, and then there's a dude with his chick, right? And then it's kind of up to the neck, right? We're up to past waist length, right? Up to her neck. And then this chick's got this tattoo on her boob. I still remember that. She had this little tattoo there. And then we were kind of swarming her, right? Her old man's like kind of, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. There's these two foreigners just swarming this girl, right?
She was into it.
And then you're like, it's like Jaws, you're going in for the kill. I don't know because it was up to past, like, all I could see is the tattoo on the top of her boob, right?
No, the classic was in the van. In the van.
Okay.
Do you remember that when we first?
No, keep going.
Okay. Let me tell you how I remember it. We were in town, and we didn't have a ride back to the beach where we had our camping.
Right.
We were camping, and so they gave us a ride. We first met them hitchhiking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember that? That was the next day. What you're talking about was the second day. We already knew them. The first day was we hitchhiked, and then we got in the van, and the girl was quite sexy, and so I think I was trying to teach you a lesson, is what it was, because at that time I was always trying to teach guys, show them like
you were schooling.
Yeah, I was trying to teach people what is possible with girls and possible in life, and so I said to the girl, I said, you're very sexy, your wife is very sexy, and she's got a very hot body and all that. And then the guy's like, oh, thank you, And then I said, well, in America, girls' wives will flash their tits.
Okay, I think I briefly remember that.
Remember that? Yeah. I said, girls will flash their tits from boats, like on the river in Arizona and stuff. And then that's like a cool thing to do, right? So, and then the husbands, and then the guy goes, the husbands don't mind? I said, no, it's quite common, right? And I remember it was really common actually back then in the 70s and 80s. And so the guy looks at the girl and he goes, and he goes, well, it's okay with me if it's okay with you. So she pulls up her top and then shows us her tits and her bra. And I said, no, you can't have the bra on, And so then she unsnaps the bra. She looks real nervous and she unsnaps the bra and shows her tits. And then I said, can I touch them? And I started touching them. And she goes, she goes basically dirty, and then you touched him too, right? And then we kind of we that was it. We didn't go any farther. But I think looking back, that guy was a swinger, and he wanted us to go farther for sure.
Yeah, we fucked up.
But the thing is, we did fuck up because it was so exciting because it went from, the ride that they took us on was like, it's only like a hour walk, so it's like a 10-minute drive.
You should have known. You were a surfer. That was like a boogie van, man.
Well, we were close, but it happened so fast, and I think I was thinking I didn't want, you know what it was? You know what it really was, Aaron? Sorry. John, what I'm saying is God damn it. Okay, so what it was is I didn't want to do it with her and you, because I don't know why. I just didn't want to, like, it just didn't seem right, you know, because I had done it with other friends, you know. And
because it's buddies and stuff, right?
I don't know. It just somehow didn't seem right for whatever reason, you know.
Yeah, it was not the grown-up thing to do.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe that was what it was. But it was like, I just kind of like, you know, it was like, no, we shouldn't. Because I was kind of thinking logistics now. Should we go in the van with her, you know?
It was getting complicated. You would have had to tell me to go to the store or something.
Well, no. I wasn't going to do that. No. I would never do you. She was into it, so. But the husband was totally into it. He was probably the most into it. That was the interesting thing.
Of course he was. Now looking back, fuck yeah.
He was totally excited, right? He was like, whoa, this is like super hot. Yeah. So, you know, for anybody listening, you know, I'm not recommending this kind of thing. I'm just saying, like, I'm going to do another episode. What's that?
Yeah.
I'm going to do another episode with a friend of mine who has a very unusual sexual, what do you call it?
Appetite.
Traditions, and it's something that is very good for MGTOWs because once you break away from I love you, I want to get married, I love you, I want to live together, I love you, I want to do everything for you. Once you break away from that, you have to kind of blaze your own path. You know what I mean? Like, none of the paths to sexuality work anymore for guys. Because usually, when you take a girl's clothes off and you have sex with her, that's the beginning of you being her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas for MGTOWs, it's like they're not interested. We're not interested in like this bonding and like one-on-one. It's like so how do you satisfy your desires? And and the way you do it is you take advantage of non-traditional sexual situations that are already popular and that are win-win. So, like in that guy's case, the husband was very into it, and he was the most excited. He was almost shaking. I saw his hands. You know, he was super excited because it kind of built up. I don't know if you guys can feel the vibe. We were in a van. We're in a fucking van, you know, and it had neon lights.
It was like the Mystery Machine.
Yeah, with like the slow music. And the woman with the nice boobs, and she's pulling out the boobs and the nipples. Yeah. I mean, it was like, and it's right in our face, and we just met her like literally like less than 5 minutes ago, and so it was smoldering hot, and she was really into it, you know. And so the situation was very hot, and I think, you know, looking back, I think that was a great night, and even though we didn't take it farther, I think really we just getting to that point is so exciting. You know, it's like, I think a lot of life is not, it's about the journey, right? You know, you would have never known, like, I don't know if you would have known that was possible, you know? And I wanted to show you that there's other ways. You don't have to wait a million years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was pretty fast paced. So I think that was the first time I've ever seen, you know, in front of others. That's different when you're just with a chick. But when you're in front of other guys and you're going, just take your top off. What? But when once you're done with that, you know, unzip my pants too.
Exactly. You know. It just becomes very kind of like a normal stream of things. You know. Definitely, if I was alone, it would have gone totally nuts. I can tell you that for sure. But, you know.
But, you know, this was before the porn thing. I was still kind of...
Oh, this is like 1992, you guys. This is way the fuck back here.
Yeah, this was... I was still in that old kind of, you know, you got a girlfriend and that's my property kind of thinking, right? You were a little advanced. There.
Well, yeah, I'd already had like a lot of crazy sex, and I knew that women did not think about sex the way we thought about it. I knew it that even at that time, in 92, I knew that the only one stopping something radical sexual from happening was me. Like, I knew that once a woman is turned on, I could fuck her anywhere I wanted to. Like in a restaurant, in front of everybody, in public. I mean, we would get arrested in most countries, but What I'm saying is that the girl, once she's turned on, she's not going to stop it. It's guys, we are the ones that are the ones that are afraid to do it.
Yeah.
And I already knew that. I knew that women are like...
yeah. See, I was still in that stage, and I think that porn, that broke it out of me. I busted that shit out of me.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, like, even when I got back here, like, a couple years back, right?
Yeah.
I did a total, move like that with a chick that I'd met. Like, right the first time we went out, went straight to the park,
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on to that handrail, man. Just, that's it was like old school, all that time, that schooling is, it's passed on, right?
Right.
So I think it influenced my decisions too, right?
Well, we are our own worst enemy. Women are very sexual. They're very adventurous. They're very, I would say, non-monogamous. Like a woman could, if she gets really turned on. Yeah, it's all bullshit.
It's all the cover. Yeah. Right. It's all this little, like, I go to church every Sunday and I'm part of the fucking this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, they're like, they're way hornier than you think they are.
Yeah, you want to hear something funny? Is my friend? This is like 3 days ago. He came to visit. And he was at a wedding, okay, down in southern Thailand, right? And at the wedding, he was getting drunk, and he was talking to this girl, and he was getting her all horny, and she was like they were ready to go in the back, right? And then he said something, and then he told her something very personal, right, about sex, very, very personal, which I'm not going to repeat. And then she said, get this. So when he opened up to her and showed her that he was like you, he was like totally over any normal like sexual hypocrisy and everything. And what he said was, and then when she said, she admitted, get this, she was having a lesbian affair with the girl who was getting married and another guy. So what happened was she trusted my friend after he broke out and showed her that he was not a judgmental, typical guy.
Yeah, that's a big deal, yeah.
And then once he broke through, she said the wedding that they were at had a woman who was fucking another guy and her. Yeah. And they were not going to stop, right? This is like an ongoing thing, right?
Yeah.
And then here we are having this marriage. So it's like there's two societies right now. There's guys who are totally clueless, who are getting fucked over, cheated on, and they're paying tons of money for nothing. Yeah. And there's other guys who get all the benefits, right? Yeah. And there's other guys who don't even want the benefits, and they don't want any of it, And with MGTOWs, I firmly believe that there's many, many kinds of MGTOWs. And a lot of MGTOWs...
There's different options,
A lot of MGTOWs are very interested in sexual relationships with girls, but not in the traditional sense. They don't want to fall into that where they're slaves. They don't want to, be licking the boots of the girl. But they are interested in improving themselves and getting involved in stuff. And I think even the MGTOWs that are going their own way right now and aren't interested in women, long term, when they open their eyes, when they start to see what is available, the smorgasbord of pussy, where you don't have to give... It's the only reason why they're not interested is because they don't know they can be so easy. So they think...
They're also testing you, too. Like, the other day I was chatting with this chick, and it's still flirting back and forth, but then she just said, are you into hookups, right?
Right. She
said to me, and that's kind of an old term. I don't think people even say that anymore, but, this is Asia, right?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm if the opportunity presents itself or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna turn that down. And she said, "Oh, okay, fine. When can you be here?"
Right. Exactly.
So they're testing you. They want to see, if you're not gonna be this hurtful, spiteful, moral kind of guy, and you just do the deed and come over and get it done, and see you later.
Right. It's like you showed her that you knew the secret code.
Yeah.
She was testing you to see if you knew. And if you didn't know, if you would have said, no, that's lame, she would have said, There's so many
You're
lame
right.
people, you know. She wouldn't have.
Yeah.
She would have never given anything away. All you
Yeah.
had to say was, yeah. And then she's like, oh, okay, come fuck me right now, right? So it's not even pickup what you did there. That's not pickup. That's just like you're letting the beast come over, right?
That's full on. That's rapeseed.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus. So, all right. Well, look, it's been great. It's been great talking to John and going through everything. It's just been fabulous. I hope you guys gain something from this. We're not trying to teach anything in this. We're just trying to give wisdom and experience on this one. So I hope you can take the different pieces, and like they say, take what you like and leave the rest, right?
And also, like, it's not always what it seems.
Right.
It's not always what it seems. Like, remember what I said at the beginning. Like, does this chick look like me? They don't always reveal everything right away. So.
Right.
And don't blow your friends off.
Right.
That's
Friendships.
Key. Yeah.
Friendships are fucking number one.
Number one, right? Yeah.
No, women never come before friends. Never.
Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah. That still is, by the way. Yeah.
That's why we're doing this call. All right, John. Yeah. Thanks so much, and thanks for being on the show. And thanks everybody for listening. And subscribe and share this if you're learning stuff. If you're getting good, if you're getting some knowledge. Leave any questions. I love all the comments. I can see right now new comments coming in from the video earlier about women being bad cooks. So it's a sad truth. It's a sad truth.
Except Julia Child.
Yeah, they're not that. They are not that. No. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Roni Man.